Jaime Cross, welcome to Better Health.
Thanks, April. So good to see you.
It's amazing to have you on, and I know that both Caleb and I really just love everything that you do in your heart. And so being able to have you on the show is an honor. And for those that don't know who Jaime Cross is, she is the founder and CEO of MIG Living. She's a wife of nearly 19 years. She's a mother of five small, beautiful boys and an entrepreneur for over a decade. So thank you so much for being on, Jaime.
Oh, it's so great to be here. I'm so proud of what you're doing. So excited for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, to get us a little bit warmed up, give us a little context of where you grew up, where you live now, and a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah. So I grew up in North Dakota where when I graduated high school, it was 101 below zero. We, if you walk outside in North Dakota in the wintertime, literally you've got 10 seconds before your lungs collapse. I mean, if you're not properly dressed. So it was very interesting. Grew up on a farm there and we had mostly livestock. So pick a farm animal and we had it. That was my life growing up, homeschooled, went to public school later on in my junior, senior year, and then moved out to Colorado at 17 to join an internship there. And I did 2 years of just leadership interning at a really big, great church and traveled the world and then graduated and met my husband at 21 years old and then got married at 23 or no 22. I was 22
Wow,
and been actually married now for over 19 years, so it's really crazy
that's
how time
amazing.
flies. And we launched our business almost 12 years ago, and we've just been entrepreneurs and
Hmm.
homeschooling our five boys, and one of them is actually too young to be homeschooled, but our four boys, and then our newer son, he'll eventually be
Yeah,
up in the mix. But we're on a farm now in Tennessee, and it's been lots of adventures getting here to this place.
very cool. Lots of adventures. That's one thing I know about for sure, hearing all the different stories and all. And I actually didn't know that you grew up in North Dakota on a farm. So that's really cool to hear. You're a farm girl at heart. That's no doubt about that. So, what did your health look like when in regards to being a child compared to now? Was it a healthy lifestyle, or were there like how did it compare to now?
Yeah, it's really interesting because my dad, I always think about my dad as sort of a pioneer. I mean, back in the 80s, people weren't, now people are very health conscious, but
Mhm.
I think back in the 80s and the 90s, not everyone, people weren't really talking about juicing and blending and supplements. And, as a homeschool kid, I remember my dad was an entrepreneur and he would be gone out of the house by 6 a.m. to go, build. He was a builder. So he'd
Mm.
build houses but he would always leave my brother and I's supplements on the counter and we would dread it because,
Uh,
um, it was this stuff called barley green and then it was herbal fiber blend and he had these little tiny Rubbermaid shaker cups and we'd have to blend the green juice first and like down it and it would take us
yeah,
anyway. So that was my life, and he would have nuts and seeds and fruit, and my brother and I would have carrot eating contests growing up. Like that was our life. But
cool.
my mom told me I had mono at the age of 1 because I've been working towards healing my thyroid for the last 15 years. I've had a thyroid condition and Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune. So, based on my research, I think that there were some things even in my infancy that was affecting my health that didn't really pop up until, um, some really stressful seasons as an adult. Then everything just kind of shifted. But I had a healthy lifestyle, and now my husband and I mean, we do all the things, the juicing, the blending, and I could talk about all the stuff that I've been up to health wise.
That's so cool. And that's pretty incredible that you had the blessing of growing up with more of that healthy lifestyle ingrained in you. There's
Mhm.
many people that grow up with, processed food all the time, like no healthy
Yeah.
lifestyle, and then they change dramatically. So it's kind of cool how that has evolved over time.
Hmm.
So talk to us a little bit about MIG. How did that get started, the story behind it, and where you're at today with it?
Yeah, just with any journey, really, it starts where it starts and then it evolves over time. And when I started MIG, it was 2010, And I came from a banking background. So I was in finance and, a lot of the stuff that your husband does, I was doing all of the things. I was working for one of the largest banks in the world and investment stuff. And so that was kind of my background. And then when we found out we were going to have our first baby, which was 5 years into marriage, I was like, well, I'm not going to do the leaving home and putting him in daycare thing. So I'm going to stay home. And so 2.5 years into full-time motherhood, I just knew I needed to build something. I wanted to create something. I'd always been passionate about herbalism. I remember pulling a book off the shelf at 14 years old, and it was this book about like all these different herbs and things in the earth that you could turn into masks. And I was always creating, even in junior high and high school, and leaving things in my mom's fridge that would be crazy for your face, but potatoes on the skin, all the things. I had pretty terrible skin growing up. I think it was mostly because of the products I was using, not so much genetics. But anyways, I remember just a particular week, we were, my husband was teaching full time and we were struggling financially, but more than that, I was just in my soul. I'm like, I need to create something. And I asked one night, just cried out to him and said, God, show me $1 billion idea so I can change the world and leave a legacy for my family. And it wasn't too long after that, I actually went to church on Sunday, and our pastor stops the sermon and comes to the edge of the stage and he says, this has never happened to me before, but the Lord just spoke to my heart and said, there's a stay-at-home mom here who he wants to give $1 billion idea to, so get ready for it. And so at that point, it was like, okay, Lord, whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it. Whatever you give me, I'll be faithful with it. And I had a dream after that. And so the dream was very much a blueprint indicating, here, start here. And so I woke up, told my husband, I'm going to start a skincare company, which now we've evolved into like herbal healing wellness business. But I studied for a year chemistry, formulated our first bar of soap, and just hit the streets of Denver and Colorado Springs and was just peddling soap in the beginning stages, and did farmers markets for 4 years, and then started to scale online in 2017. And then now we're a social selling model, but we've grown from 0 to 8 figures in a very relatively short amount of time. But it was about 7 years of building that foundation to get there, doing the farmers markets and doing all the hustle. And now we're just hustling and doing it even bigger. So
continuing to grow, and there's so many things that I see changing in amazing ways, and new products, and and going from really body care product to so much more. I mean, you have supplements and there's makeup now. It's really cool to see how it's all changed.
Yes, totally.
So you're now going to be called the Herbal Alchemist, I hear. Talk to us about what that means. And now, knowing a little bit about how you were in high school, it totally makes sense that you were all into the herbs. So what does that look like today? And talk to us a little bit about detoxing and all of that.
Yeah, let's just kind of dive into the good stuff now.
I'm here for it.
So ultimately, I think that people today are looking, they're moving past traditional Western medicine, which thank goodness for it. I'm so grateful for Western medicine, but people are looking to the native for answers because they're not finding it in traditional medicine. And the vitalist philosophy, which is your body's designed to heal itself. Your body is created to do so many amazing things, but we have hindered it with our eating habits, with our, just even the air we're breathing, our lifestyle. And so the medical community that I'm a part of and that I follow, like the naturopathic doctors that I am mentored by, will tell you that you can treat all disease the same, which is a very interesting thought, because most of us think, well, I've got this problem. What is it? I'm going to take this medication. And I strongly believe that so much of big pharma is really creating more problems than solving them. And and it's a big money making machine. And so we've got to figure out what's in the earth for us. And so much of illness starts with inflammation, and inflammation is just a flag, right? It's like, hey, something's wrong. And so what do people do today? They take medication and it just band-aids the real problem. But if we can get to the root cause, what's causing the inflammation? It could be it could be your dental work. There's actually a really great documentary called The Root Cause that everybody should watch. It talks about, how illness is starting in the mouth, but it's the gut, it's the microbiome of the skin, and by healing the cell, ultimately creating transformation in the body. So we think about hair growth and wrinkles going away and having energy. It's great to have good supplements, but ultimately what we need to be doing is taking care of our body holistically. And so I've been on a transformation journey, and just especially in the last 18-ish years. I had a thyroid condition diagnosed back in my early 20s, and then years later was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. And so I have taken my health from just, hey, eat right, exercise, to how do we really heal the body? How do we really go from chronic illness to complete restoration? And one of the truths I really want people to understand is that you don't have to live sick. You were not designed to be sick. We weren't born sick. And we've just accepted this as a social norm now, as like our bodies are supposed to break down, but that's just not the truth. We can heal. And I'm a testimony of that. But I've followed all kinds of, we juice, we blend, we've got a garden now. I go grounding. There's a lot of, if you think about what Nikola Tesla said about the earth, he said, everything is electromagnetic, right? And so everything in food is electric. And with the GMOs and all the things that are being propagated in the earth as far as food goes, and most of our food has been neutralized. It's no longer electric. And so when we're eating dead food, what's going to happen to your body if it's not feeding on life, right? And if we've got food that's being grown in the ground that's lost a lot of its nutrients, then obviously that translates to our health as well. So restoring the soil is a big thing. But I'm actually creating a system right now. It involves, hydrocolon therapy. If you guys knew what is lurking in your colon, I lost 13 pounds in 17 days just going through a really healthy detox process. It involved hydrocolon therapy. But we have organisms and parasites and things growing in our body that need to be eliminated. And it's interesting because starting with hydrocolon therapy, it's something that I think is now becoming mainstream and popular, but it's been around since ancient Roman times. The athletes and the warriors used to do hydrocolon therapy because they would be stronger right before a battle, going into a battle. And so I can tell you that the things that are lurking in your colon are things that parasites feed on, cancer feeds on, mold. I've had thermography done, which actually is really interesting. They were like, oh, wow, you have mold growing in your sinuses. And so just getting lymphatic massage. But I believe that if we start tapping into original thought and ancient wisdom, we can really start to unlock some healing powers. And then, of course, fasting is a really big one. Of the fastest ways to heal your body is through fasting, water fasting, at least 3 days, where you can unlock autophagy. And it's when your body starts to break down old cells and unlock stem cells in your system. And so many really cool hidden secrets and keys that I think people just are not aware of. But the Herbal Alchemist brand is the brand that I'm launching myself into, because I want to teach people how to take their health back. And if you have health, you have wealth. And you guys talk about better health and better wealth. And I believe so strongly, if you don't have your health, then what good is anything else? It's functioning as a mom, functioning as a wife, as an entrepreneur. In the past was so challenging because I didn't have energy. I was overweight. Brain fog is such a crazy thing, trying to function when you can't even think clearly. But I'm But just by going through and nurturing and restoring the cell, I would say I'm at like 90% now compared to where I was
It's incredible.
years ago.
All of that. This is why I get along with you so well, Jaime. I mean, everything you're saying, I'm like, amen to that. And then you'd say another good point. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm on board for that. Like, I just love that you are embodying all of this and helping people to do the same because it is so important. If you don't have your health, like, how are you going to go through life just like a zombie? I mean, that's not how we were intended to live. Like, God doesn't want that for us. And so I just love all of that. And your MIG body products, one thing I love about them and why I use them is because of the fact that they are toxin free and they're clean and they're literally made with products from the earth and like bees. And so talk to us about how body products affect our health, and having clean body products is super important.
Yeah. So, if we think about there's gateways for toxins. And for anybody that doesn't know what a toxin is, often we think of toxins as, poison, like don't drink the gasoline. Of course, that is, of course, a toxin, but a toxin is anything your body can't use. Very simple. So think about your body almost like a computer that's reading code. And when we start feeding our body things that it doesn't recognize, it stores it as disease. It's going to try to eliminate it, but we're now taking things that our body was never meant to digest or absorb or detoxify. Think about water and oil soluble toxins, things we're breathing in. So there's multiple gateways for toxins to enter into the body. It's through what you eat, breathe, what you put on your skin, and what you let into your soul. So eat, breathe, skin, soul. Soul is something people don't think about a lot, but unforgiveness and bitterness and anger, those things are soul toxins that actually affect your physiological body. Breathing, of course, direct inhalation, we're vaporizing our skincare products and our beauty products. So I kind of want to take you on a little journey here of the average, and this is for men too, but most women. So the average woman's ingesting about 500 chemicals into her body every single day through these different gateways, but much of it comes from her beauty products and her skincare products. So think about you waking up in the morning, maybe you grab your coffee. For our ladies, they grab the Arise, because it's got the energy and all the things in there. But you get into the shower and you've got your soap, your body wash, your scrubs, maybe you've got plugins in the wall, maybe your washcloth has laundry detergent and softeners in there. There's all these fragrances that you're vaporizing. So you're breathing in think about the time, if you've ever gone to the hospital and you've been put under and they put something under your nose to put you under, they don't even inject anything into your body. How powerful is what we breathe into our body? And so we inoculate ourselves every single day with all these vaporized toxins. And then what we're also doing is we're letting it onto our skin. So your skin is, most people know this, the largest organ in your body. But it is in and of itself a microbiome, just like in your gut. There's flora, there's good and bad bacteria, and your body has a level set, right? And everything we put onto our skin translates into our bloodstream. Our skin is not wallpaper. It's a living, breathing, active organ that's designed to protect you. And it's one of your first lines of defense in your immune system. And so think about the makeup and the shampoos and the conditioners. And so not only are you breathing these things in, but they're being absorbed through your skin and into your scalp and onto your body. And then you get out of the shower, and then what do? We slather ourselves with lotions and potions. And I always talk to our ladies about how simple it is to start eliminating the toxic stuff. If you just eliminate water-based skincare, because water is unstable. So if you put water in a skincare product, it's going to require preservatives and emulsifiers and stabilizers, right? But you take those out, and all of a sudden now you have the potential to use what's just found in the earth. And so I always like to say our skincare is edible. If you had to eat it, if you were stranded on a desert island, you could eat our skincare, but
Especially the orange one. I'm like, this is like orange sherbet.
right. Right. Yeah. But beeswax, if you get farm fresh beeswax, not the stuff that you find in mainstream skincare, because the Sarah Alba beeswax that you find in your skincare now has been imported. It's been bleached, denatured, and smells like plastic. It's all white. Our beeswax is, which by the way, we're one of the largest purchasers of farm fresh beeswax in the state of Colorado. It's bright orange. It smells like honey. You put it on your skin and it's a humectant. So it's going to draw moisture from the air and lock it into your skin. It's going to help your skin. It's got the vitamin A nutrients. So it's helping your cells regenerate. Helps with bacteria. So it's going to help you fight breakouts, all those things, but botanical oils, essential oils, butters, all of those things are just so good for nourishing the skin and protecting it. But an easy place to start, if you're like, man, I want to start just detoxing my skincare ritual, is just eliminating the water-based products. Like I always say, soap and lotion. Your soap, if you're buying it from the store, even if it's an herbal based or like a clean soap, a lot of the soaps aren't properly formulated, even if they have totally natural ingredients, and they're stripping the microbiome, which is creating a toxic reaction in the body as well. So you want properly balanced soap and a really like great water-free lotion product. That is a good place to start. And then of course the makeup, and unplug the plugins, start using essential oils instead of fragrances and perfumes. Try to ditch the laundry perfumey things like the what did I just say, that the fabric softeners. Those things are all on your skin and you're breathing it in during the day, and you'll notice a massive difference in your body just by doing those things.
So true. So true. So this is a random question, but I would just love to know, of course, all of your products are so amazing, but what is one that you just absolutely love?
Oh man, the blackberry serum.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was funny because the first 7 years of our journey as entrepreneurs, we only had body, and we have these incredible balms that the Olympic athletes would drive all the way to Denver to purchase because it was helping them perform better, the wellness balms. But I started doing the whole facial product thing back in 2017. And that was the very first, one of the very first facial products I did. And it's got infused as an herbalist, I go out and I wildcraft and I gather these herbs, and it's got blackberry leaves infusion. And so it does all the things, to talk about like a miracle serum. We have people who have skin tags and dark spots and wrinkles and just unbalanced skin tone or breakouts. It helps with all of that. I mean, really, really transformational product.
I would say that that's one of my top as well. It's just literally, I before it, I used a really good quality serum as well that was organic and all that stuff. And switching to the blackberry leaf serum, I was like, am I going to notice a difference? I really did. I was like, wow, my skin is glowing, hydrated. Exactly what you were saying. So I highly endorse it. Oh man, I love all the products. They're all so great. One thing I would love to know a little bit about is, how does the process work? So you obviously are getting herbs, you're getting beeswax. What does that look like? Let's say for, your body lotion, like the sticks. Like what is the process that it takes to get to the product?
Oh yeah, you mean like the formulation and
Yes.
make it? Yeah. So when I'm formulating, I always start with the results. What do we want this product to do? And then I just am in the, quote lab, or now it's the barn, for months and months and months and months, really just working out texture. Women want three main things. They want results, of course, they want essence, and they want texture. And if you've got any of those out of balance, it makes her really like if it's too greasy, women want to have the results and the transformation, but they don't want to feel the product on their skin, and they want it to smell nice, but they don't want it to be overpowering. Like getting those things right. And the results there with having all the, that trifecta in balance is really important. But with the beeswax, it's really, you take the farm fresh beeswax, which we buy in 40-pound blocks, and then raw herbs. And I have a process where I infuse the herbs into our botanical oils. So there's so many living and active nutrients. It's like skin food. It's not dead. It's alive. And then we pour it and package it up into these lotion bars, and then you leave it in your shower and you put it on right before you get out while your skin is still wet.
Exactly, because it's a humectant. I'm so fascinated by that, and so I can't wait one day to just see the process like in real life because it really is a process, and you literally are like a chemist with your goggles and you're testing different oils and how they all work together to make a beautiful product. So it's really a work of art. Um,
Thank you.
and you're doing this all now on the new farm that you guys have out in Tennessee. You guys
Yes.
moved from Colorado. You have an amazing homestead. What's the importance of having a homestead versus just, what you
Yeah.
guys were doing before?
Yeah. Um, I think in the last like really 40, 50 years, we've gone into mainstream, like big grocery, and we've gotten away from gardening and being sustainable. We've gotten away from just knowing how to do things right. But as we've seen in the world, man, it's so important to be able to take care of yourself and not be necessarily rely on the system.
Mhm.
And something that Nathan and I are so passionate about is restoring soil. So we
Mhm.
just actually visited a worm farm in Illinois
Wow.
a couple days ago, and they have the same vision. It's like there's so many people that are rallying around this farm movement, and they're in community together. Like I was just in a chat today with some dairy farmers who are selling shares, and because we buy raw, and then we
Wow.
buy our
Mhm.
raw cheese from a Pennsylvania farm who they don't even take credit card. You have to call them and then write them a check, and they send you an invoice and they mail you your cheese. And but we just got chicken. So the importance though is of course sustainability, but I also think our society has gotten so digital and virtual that people need connection. And I have found some of the best people in the farming and the homesteading community. So restoring the soil is important for nutrients and health and wellness. It's important for sustainability. Our food today has 10% of the nutritional value it did back in the 40s, in the 30s and 40s. It's really, really sad how depleted everything has gotten. You've got Roundup and all the GMOs, and we need to restore what was lost. And it takes 100 years to build 1 inch of topsoil, but you can expedite that through just having worms and having a worm farm and having this amazing compost process. So we bought mulch. We follow this back to Eden gardening process where we have our compost, and then we have our mulch, and you plant your seeds, and then things grow a lot faster, and there's just nutrition in there, and it's a layered process of years of having chickens and having things and continuing to compost and see things break down. But we need to restore the soil, and we need to restore community, and we need to start eating healthy things again, and caring about our future. And something I think that is lost too is just people lack vision, they lack hope, and so they've stopped caring about their bodies. But without a vision, the people perish. And so people need to realize that they have a purpose on the earth, that they have a destiny and a vision, and something that they're supposed to do here. And if they get back in touch with that, then it's like, man, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to die young.
Right.
Um, I want to be alive at 90, hiking mountains and impacting the world and doing great things.
Mm. It's beautiful. And every single one of those topics has been coming to my mind. Is the fact that community is so crucial, and the people you have in your life and what they're speaking into your life. And because if you think about it, there's so many different villages out in rural countries where they do life all day long. I mean, they're around a fire in the evening. If they're going to get water, they're going together and they're talking about life. And
Yeah.
people here today are not sharing life together. It's only what we want to share. And people are so isolated, and especially after a quarantine, it's like just amplified even more now. And
Yes.
and we don't even realize the impact that has on our whole like health. And I just love the fact that you're developing a community around what's important. And speaking into the raw milk, I love that. I just had an episode all on it. And it's cool to see how it parallels with, body products and the lotions that you make and all the different body products that you have and the process of heating it. And there's a way for that and to keep the enzymes there, to keep the good bacteria there. And it's just really cool, the parallels I see with the raw milk and the body products. And it's
Raw,
so important.
yes.
Yeah.
If you can, as much as we can consume raw, whether it's raw honey,
Mhm.
um, and here's another thing too. I love what you're saying, April. I'm so glad that you're doing this podcast. I think it's so important to get the word out. But you've got to know your producers. And so if you're not personally growing a garden, having your own bees and having cows, you've got to get to know the people in your local community. Go to your farmers markets, ask them the right questions. I have a list of questions that I teach people to ask, because
Perfect.
even at the farmers markets, it's like people are coming up from other, like from down in Mexico, because farmers markets are like a big trend now, and they're reselling foreign products at these local farmers markets, and they're sprayed and they're not organic. And so don't think just because you're going to a farmers market that you're getting local fresh produce that is actually clean. And so one of the first questions you want to ask is your produce local? If the answer is no, I won't buy from them, because I want to support American farmers. I want to support my local community. Like the future of freedom is local. Right.
Yes.
And we have to be a community. We have to be together. We have to support the people who are going to be producing our future food. Right. That's very important.
Exactly.
But if it's not local, I don't buy from them. And then I ask them, is it organic? And I don't care about certified organic. As a matter of fact, if we can get away from the certifications and get away from FDA and USDA, and I know we're not supposed to say that, but that's just the reality. And so I'll be talking to farmers and they'll say, well, we are organic, but we're not certified. And I'll just ask them what that means. For instance, and I hope I'm not talking too much here.
No, I'm so glad you're doing this, because one thing is people are like, well, how do I get started? I don't even know what questions to ask. And this is perfect. So keep going.
So one of the things I loved about being at the farmers markets for those 4 years when we started our business was I built relationships with so many farmers, and I could tell you so many stories of their struggles, of even just the things that the government's doing to try to shut down the small local farmers, right? And I remember talking to an apple farmer. He was to my left. He was right next to me for a whole summer. And I said, are your apples organic? Because there are like the dirty dozen. There are things that you just don't want to buy unless they're truly organic. Like potatoes is one thing. Apples is another. Apples are heavily sprayed. He said, well, I actually don't certify organic, because if I got the USDA certification, I would have to spray my apples with the government's quote organic spray, which is actually still very toxic. And then I would be lowering the lowering the standard of our product. So by staying truly organic, it's like the government doesn't get to define what organic really is. They shouldn't get to. They do right now, but it shouldn't be that way. So I just started asking farmers, like, do you spray? And some of them will say, well, I only spray the blossoms. I don't spray the fruit, or, what are you doing to the soil? A lot of these farmers don't even, they've bought into the lie that things like Roundup and, all these
fertilizers and
fertilizers. Yes, exactly. Pesticides, that they're safe, but so many of them are, and even some of the natural ones are killing the bees. For instance, some of the farmers are using neem oil, but that will collapse your entire colony. Of course, we're in a bee crisis right now. And so it may feel a little overwhelming to start learning. Even I felt that way, like buying a farm and being like, okay, we don't know anything. I mean, I know how to take care of animals, but I don't know how to grow a crop and like bring food to the, how do you do this? But it starts with just putting a seed in the ground. That's really all it is. Start practicing. Like you can start in your kitchen with some little containers and some like go find some local fresh compost
Mhm.
um, with some mulch and put some seeds in the ground and just watch how they come alive. And you can grow your own tomatoes and cucumbers and anyways. And then I always ask them what their farming process, practices are. Are they biodynamic? What are they doing to restore the soil? The closer I can get to supporting and giving my dollars to the farmers who are actually in an active fight to restore soil, to preserve the earth, then I'm like, I want to collaborate with you. And a lot of these farmers are starting to do classes and trainings and ask if they know where you can get educated. Because here in Tennessee, in the Knoxville area, there's biodynamic soil classes. I joined a bee club,
Wow.
very
Love
time consuming, but at the same time, I've got friends who are struggling and fighting cancer right now. And guess how much time they're spending at the hospital? Guess how much time they're spending in chemotherapy? Guess how much time they've lost now due to illness because they can't build their businesses the way they were before. So I'm like, hey, we can pay the farmer now or we can pay the doctor later.
right.
And we need to take seriously that the time, it's never better time to start like actively engaging with your local farming community and putting some seeds in the ground yourself. You don't even have to own acreage. If you have a yard, you can grow enough food on an eighth of an acre to feed your entire family. You
Wow.
know what I mean? Like you
And
don't
that
need
there's no excuses.
farm. No excuses. Like stop watering your lawn and put some seeds in the ground.
Exactly. I just love that. Oh man. And exactly the fact of like investing in your health today. So then later on down the road, you don't have to invest in the putting out the fire per se, like
Yeah.
investing in quality products, quality food, local food now. So then later on, it's
Mhm.
like, well, I'm not going to do that. It's too much money. Well, you're going to invest that later on into whatever it may be, whatever you're fighting off later on down the road. It's such a true statement right there. So, as we
Yeah.
begin to wrap it up, Jaime, do you have any few takeaways for listeners before we head into rapid fire questions?
Yeah, no. If you're a family, if you're a parent, your kids will love putting seeds in the ground and watching them grow and then being able to pick that fruit. It's just it's a great family thing to do together. And it's so simple. So start there and then switch over to some waterless lotion and soap, clean soap.
I love it. Short and sweet, right there. Take that away. Now go do something. So, the first question I have for you in the rapid fires is what books are you currently reading right now?
Oh man, my stack of books right now, everything from gardening to business, and then to spiritual stuff. But there's a great book called, and then I love Chris Beat Cancer, like all of his cookbooks. He wrote Chris Beat Cancer. It's Chris Wark. He cured cancer in his kitchen. And so I just love to make his recipes. But gardening stuff, let's see here. Oh, here we go. This is a book that everyone should read. It's called The Healing Crisis. It will change your life. A lot of times people start this detox process and this journey, and then they start feeling sick and they're like, I feel worse now. Well, that's called a healing crisis. Your body's going back through a progression of illness before it gets better. So read that book. It's by Bruce Fife. Here's what it looks like in case you're putting this on YouTube, but
Perfect. Yes.
that's probably the number one book. And then anything by Rosemary, Gladstar, herbal stuff. It's great.
I'll put all that in the show notes, the authors, the different books, so everyone can check that out for sure. The next question is, what is your favorite food?
Oh man. I love Asian food. I love lo meins and Mongolian beef and
Mhm.
all that good stuff.
So good, so good. And what is your favorite travel destination or a dream destination that you have?
Oh, I love that question. Nathan and I went to Europe in 2018, and we've been dreaming about taking the boys and going back. We went to Italy on a truffle hunting adventure, and we went to this 700 or it was over 700-year-old farm with olives, and they make their own wine, and we're going to go back there. So it's called Poggio Campoli, and you can buy their olive oil online. Actually, it's all in Italian, but I buy and import their oil because you just take a teaspoon of it and it's so healthy.
Mm.
But Italy, and Ireland,
Mm.
and probably two places.
Yeah, love those. Those are good places for sure. And then what is your definition of intentional living?
Oh, I love that. I look at that as personal responsibility. So we get to call our shots. Your life is self-determining. And it means that whatever you want to create, you can go create. Whatever you want to build, you got to build it. And nobody's responsible for your success. You got to go out there and take it, take it yourself and do good in the earth. But ultimate responsibility is at the pinnacle of every great thing in life.
Mm, perfect. And how can listeners connect with you, Jaime?
Oh, that's such a great question. Well, there's a lot of things happening and a lot of things to come with the Herbal Alchemist, but I would say the Her Effect, they can find MIG Living there. They can find our, podcasts and all the things I'm doing through thehereffect.com.
Perfect. That sounds great. And if you're interested in MIG products, there's also a link down below for you guys to check out as well. Jaime, thank you so much for being on and taking some time this morning to share your knowledge.
Thank you for having me, April. You're amazing.